The deadlift is a primary compound mass building exercise for the calves, glutes, hamstrings and lower back. In other terms, the specific anatomy used and major muscles involved are as followed: the gluteus maximus, semibranchiosus, semitendinosus, bicep femoris, vastus lateralis, vastus intermedius, vastus medialis and the rectus femoris. The secondary muscles used as part of the deadlift and for the upper body stabilisation are the teres major, latissimus dorsi, rhomboid, the middle trapezius and the upper trapezius.
In a deadlift, your starting position should consist of your feet being shoulder width apart with them flat on the ground. Squat at the hips, which should be lower than your shoulders with your arms slightly wider than the shoulder width apart and outside your knees with your arms fully locked out. The bar should be in line with the middle of your tibia while being approximately 1 inch away from the tibia, with the bar also being over the balls of your feet. Grip the bar using either an alternative grip where your knuckles are facing opposite ways, or the double overhand grip where both knuckles are facing away from the lifter. Double overhand grip provides more stability and can prevent rotation in the lift, but is weaker when the weight is increased, as most athletes can't grip the bar fully in the position due to hand size. The alternative hand grip is preferred when heavier weights are used, as it allows greater grip strength. The dominant hand of the lifter is usually in the overhand position, knuckles facing away from the lifter, and non-dominant hand in the underhand position, knuckles facing towards the lifter. But in this grip, it is key to have good upper body strength, or you will twist during the lift. With your upper body, you should have a flat or slightly arched spine with your trapezius relaxed. Your pectorals held up and forward for balance and stability. Head looking forward while in line with your vertebral column to reduce spine stress, while your shoulders are parallel or slightly in front of the bar.
Lift your chest, straighten your back, keeping it neutral. Don't move the bar, don't drop your hips, don't squeeze your shoulders blades. Keep the head looking forwards throughout the movement. Pull bar up, take a big breath, hold it and stand up. Keep the bar against your legs. Don't shrug or lean back at the top of the action. Now you've completed the ascent of the deadlift when you've locked your knees and hips out.
The descent of a deadlift involves slowly flexing the hips and knees at the same rate to return the bar to the floor in a controlled manner. During the descent, keep the bar as close to the thighs and shins as possible. Maintain a neutral or slightly arched back with the elbows fully extended and pointing out to the sides, the shoulders over or slightly ahead of the bar and the head neutral in relation to the spine. Touch the plates to the floor and then immediately, without a pause, lift the bar back up for the next repetition.
As quoted by Keebler, postural control is the ability to control the position and motion of the trunk over the pelvis to allow optimum production, transfer and control of force to the terminal segment in integrated athletic activities. During the client's demonstration of a deadlift, the aspect of postural control is seen as substantial to successfully support the trunk of a lift at this weight range. He ensures great balance and stability is maintained throughout the lift with respect to the demanding requirements. However, analysis shows his lower back is flat and somewhat rigid, expressing local muscle function during the lifting phase, in comparison to the upper back, which is subject to a slight curvature suggesting a thoracic extension. The upper body musculature is expressed as weaker than that of the lower. In return, this creates a stress upon the thoracic region, which is not subsequently stabilised by the core abdominal muscles. Furthermore, the rigidity of the lower back provides a stable base for the lift, and with use of local muscle function, deeply stabilising the pelvis and spine.
The bar path should be a perpendicular line. The bar will move in a vertical line over your midfoot if you have deadlifted with proper technique. Any horizontal movement is stressful on your lower back and ineffective, which can again cause injury. If you lift the weight with a J-curve, you've stepped up with the bar too far away from your shins, putting it over your midfoot before you deadlift any weight. Doing this can offset your balance, meaning the lift is not performed properly.
As you can see, the participant is constantly and evenly distributing his weight throughout the movement. He starts off with his feet flat, shoulder width apart, with the toes pointed out slightly. At this starting phase, his weight is evenly distributed between both sides of his body. As he squats down with the hips presenting lower than the shoulders, the centre of mass is seen to have shifted to his lower base of support, ready to submit an explosive movement. During the upward phase and the main length of movement, the bar must travel closely to the participant's centre of mass to rule out any uneven horizontal expenditure. He then lifts in accordance to Newton's third law, referring to the ground reaction force. This can be seen as a direct drive with first production initiating from his heels. During the explosive upward movement, he exerts a force upon the ground with his feet, and the ground exerts an equal force back in a simultaneous manner. This can also be seen as in a transverse weight shifting from the ground and transferring upwards through the primary contracting muscles.
The best way to improve the deadlift is to keep doing the deadlift. The more you practice the proper deadlift technique, the better your technique becomes. Better technique improves your success and prevents injury during the exercise. Deadlift should be done 2 to 3 times a week, as this results in greater muscle recovery and improving in technique. To gain strength in this area, you should always train to 80 and 90% of your 1 rep max and stay in the 3 to 6 rep range. When performing the technique, always try to snap the bar in half. This will help you to tighten up the lats, which will keep the bar as close to you as possible on the way up, and keeping the bar close to you will help you make the lift to improve your deadlift technique as well as your weight on the bar. Improving the grip strength will allow you to have more control on the bar throughout the movement of the lift. This will make your technique better, and you will always be able to progress the workload.
There may be some muscle imbalances while performing a deadlift, and these include tight hamstrings. This can cause you to not be able to perform the deadlift in the full range of motion, and you therefore may require to have a weighted plate under one or both of your heels. This is to aid with both the starting position and during the movement of the deadlift. This is because hamstrings are responsible for knee flexion and work with the gluteal muscles to extend the hip. So when your hamstring muscles and tendons are tight, they affect both the knee and hip joints directly, making it more difficult to perform a deadlift.
During deadlifting, breathing is used to support the spine while lifting. The key mechanism is the intra-abdominal pressure. This is increased pressure when the abdomen, which helps to stabilise the spine, keeping it in the ideal neutral position during the lift. In order to increase the intra-abdominal pressure, the lifter should inhale deep, filling the stomach with air. The lifter should build pressure by trying to exhale without letting air escape. This is known as the Volsker maneuver. Once the lift is completed, the lifter should inhale and perform another Volsker prior to the next repetition if the weight is heavy. If the weight is very light, an athlete can tighten their core without a large air intake, but will still hold their breath reflectively during the pull phase. Some athletes exhale as they finish the deadlift. This often results in an athlete making a bit more noise. The drawback to this is that if the lifter exhales too fast, they may lose some spinal and core stability, which the Volsker maneuver gave them, jeopardizing the end of the lift. Another variation is for the lifter to hold their breath until the repetition is completed. The advantage of this method is that the lifter sustains an intra-abdominal pressure throughout the lift. The disadvantage is that the lift is slow, or the athlete may feel like they are lightheaded or run out of air, which could cause serious injury. The last variation of a breathing technique is to allow the air to escape slowly through clenched teeth after the lift is finished. This proves provides balance between the two methods.